So next up is a presentation from Conrad Asia Energy with the ticker code CRD. Conrad are focused on natural gas exploration and production in Southeast Asia. Conrad Asia Energy primarily operates the Mako gas field, which is located in the Natuna Sea in Indonesia. Mario, good morning.
Conrad's a Singapore company listed on the ASX. It's got a market cap of around $150 million. The company's basically focused all in Asia. We're an Asian-focused exploration and development company. Asia is the fastest growing energy consumption region in the world, but it's also the fastest growing gas consumption region in the world. So there's a real opportunity there for companies to actually develop their businesses. Our resource base is currently just over 500 billion cubic feet of gas, and these are discoveries that we hope to bring forward into production, I guess, over the course of the next few years. We are unique in that we're the only pure offshore listed gas company working in the Asia Pacific region. Most of the companies tend to be more integrated, have oil and gas, but we are purely focused on gas in the offshore region. Asia welcomes gas exploration development, a little unlike Australia, and it's a big part of the energy transition story through the region. The region has been heavily reliant on coal, I guess, for the last few decades, but there is a real push to move away from coal into natural gas, and Conrad hopes to play a role in that transition. All of our assets currently are in Indonesia, which is the fourth most populous country in the world. So it's a huge market opportunity. It's got very strong GDP growth. In fact, it's got the strongest GDP growth of any of the emerging economies, and a large resource base of nickel, copper, where the country is looking to actively refine and process those particular commodities. So there's huge energy demand, and there's also the other problem Indonesia's got is it's got one of the fastest growing carbon emitted countries in the world. So it's got some issues it's got to deal with on the carbon side. The country is looking to double its gas production by 2030. They've already attracted considerable interest, major new gas projects being announced more recently by ENI, and companies such as Exxon and a few other big companies have now re-entered the country. So there's very active business going on in Indonesia. Quickly touch on our board and management. Peter Botten, who most of you know, is our chairman. And it's great having Peter on board, especially as we're working through negotiating gas contracts for our existing discoveries. In terms of the location of our assets, we've got 3 PSCs. One is the Duyung PSC, which is in the Natuna Sea, and this area is connected to Malaysia and into Singapore. There's a pipeline connecting Duyung into Singapore and also into Malaysia, and this contains our large Mako gas field, which is around 400 BCF. And as you'll see this morning, we made an announcement, which is just fortuitous, actually. It's a bit of a fluke. I'm actually in Singapore at the moment, that we signed a contract with Sembcorp. So basically, all of the gas that we've discovered at Mako is now being committed. And you'll see that stock exchange release. As I said, it probably only came out about 20 minutes ago. The other assets we've got are in the Aceh area, where we've got 2 PSCs. We've got 4 discoveries in these PSCs. This area here has had about a 70% exploratory success rate. So we've got 4 discoveries there that are around about 200 odd BCF of gas. We're shooting 3D later on this year. We're hoping that to increase or double that resource size just around the existing discoveries in this area. The particular interest here is we've got some deeper water prospectivity. We've identified around 15 trillion cubic feet of prospective resources. So that's particularly exciting. I mean, that's amongst the biggest sort of impactful exploration play of any listed company on the ASX. There's been some big discoveries made through here. Harbour Energy, Mubadala, and Exxon is shooting a major seismic survey through here. So this is a pretty hot area at the moment. We own 100% of this area, and we own 76% of Duyung, and we're getting some strong interest here from companies looking to farm in. In terms of the unique gas opportunity, you can see here the growth in gas consumption and demand across the region. It's the fastest growing gas consumption region, as I mentioned before. In terms of sort of the investment highlight, as I said, we've got a two-pronged attack. One is the gas development into Singapore, and then we've got our growth opportunities in Aceh. What we have been working on over the past few years is obviously we discovered Mako in 2017. We've drilled, I think there's 5 wells on the structure at the moment. We've got a plan of development, got our resources certified, and as I said, we've just signed our gas contracts into Singapore, which we did over the weekend. In terms of the, quickly on where our asset base is, this is the Natuna Sea. It's probably one of the most prospective areas in the Southeast Asian region. There's a lot of oil and gas fields here. And we discovered Mako. You see there, Mako is quite large. In fact, it's one of the largest gas fields in the Natuna Sea. It's actually, and we discovered it because it's a new play type. So we took some exploration risk, which tends to be pretty risk averse in this part of the world, but we did come through. We did make the discovery, appraised it. And I guess if you had to throw a dart anywhere in the world to find gas, finding it on trunk lines into Malaysia and into Singapore is about as good as it gets. In terms of the what we're looking at here, this is the Natuna Sea has been supplying gas into Singapore for about 2-3 decades, and it's going to run out in 2028 on the existing gas contracts. Mako just slots into the back of those contracts and really extends the life of that asset for probably another 10 to 15 years. So as I said, all the basic infrastructure is in place and the pipeline's already connected into markets. In terms of Aceh, this is the sort of the huge upside that sits in our portfolio, and one of the reasons we've been able to attract the calibre of people like Peter Botten and Dave Johnson and some pretty big people into our business looking for the high impact event. We've got like 20,000 square kilometres of acreage. We've worked on this for about 5 years. So it's been a big piece of business. The success rate in shallow water has been around 70% on 2D seismic, and we're shooting 3D. So we're hoping that we can, just like Noel said before, with 3D, we can actually hopefully see the gas on seismic, and I think the success rates sort of prove that. But this is high impact stuff. As I said, Exxon is shooting some seismic down here, and we've got Harbour Energy and Mubadala up to the north. This is a 4-arc basin, and the biggest gas discoveries made offshore anywhere in the world in the last decade have been in the 4-arc basins in the East Mediterranean. Just to give you a bit more colour on these discoveries, as I said, we've got the shallow water. These are Miocene pinnacle reefs. They're pretty easy to pick up on seismic. And as we move into the deeper water stuff, once again, I don't want to blind people with science here, but you can see this type of structures that we're looking at. These are just giant 4-way dip closures. They project all the way down to depth. They've sort of got flat spots. These will be gas bearing. We're pretty confident they'll be gas bearing. It's just the size. Some of these prospects range anywhere from 2 to 8 TCF. So it's a huge piece of business for farm out. The water depths sort of range between about 500 metres and 1,000 metres. So we're pretty excited about the exploratory potential. In terms of sort of the takeaways on the company, once again, we operate pretty much all of our licenses, our 3 PSCs in Indonesia. We've been operating in the country for over a decade. We listed on the ASX a couple of years ago, which was great. That gave us the capital then to pursue the plan of developments and some of the work that we're doing at Mako. The Mako development, once again, today's a very big day for our company. As I said, it's from exploration in success in 2017 to writing gas contracts, which we signed on the weekend with Sembcorp. And we also did our domestic gas contracts. And these are binding take-or-pay contracts. We did that about a month ago. So all the gas we've got at Mako is now being committed. And that just shows you the strength of demand for gas in the region. So Mako will underpin the valuation of the company and lock in a growth profile. And then on top of that, we've also got the Aceh discoveries where, as I said, we're shooting seismic. And I think Aceh will eventually be probably double the size of Mako. In terms of the size of our prospect inventory, as I said, it's around the 15 TCF of gas, and most of those structures are all in excess of a TCF of gas. So we're really hoping to get some strong interest coming in from the majors. In terms of the gas markets here, just want to touch on that very, very quickly. Currently, the gas price here in Singapore is around the $15 per MCF. That's in Australian dollar terms. So it does give you an indication of the comparison of prices that we are achieving in Australia. And hopefully, Australian producers can inch their way up to those sorts of levels. Government's certainly trying to help them get there. So there'll be lots of interest in the gas sector, I think, regionally. And as I said before, in terms of positioning, what we're hoping to do is position Conrad as a sort of a premier gas exploration and development company in the fastest growing gas consumption region in the world as an independent. And we are completely independent. We don't have any corporate strategic sort of shareholder. Just the last slide I just wanted to show you is the Indonesian economic powerhouse. I mean, you're going to be hearing a lot more about this. It's a huge piece of business for anybody in the energy business, and we're sort of well entrenched in the country. We've got about 60 people on staff. We've got an office in Jakarta, an office in Singapore, and the only two Australians involved in the company are myself and Peter Bottom. So I'll close it off there, Jane. I think that's taken me to my time, and obviously welcome questions.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for the great presentation. I'll just get you to stop sharing your screen there and I'll jump into them. So first up, we've seen a lot of onshore Indonesian oil and gas plays struggle to gain traction rather. What makes an offshore focus different, and are there material benefits to this?
Yeah, huge benefits, and yeah, it's a good question actually. I mean, the company's policy is deliberately to be offshore. We have no onshore assets in Indonesia, and for the basic reason is that there's 300 million people, sort of waiting around in the onshore area. So every time you do something onshore, you're running into local governments, provincial governments, landowner issues, environmental groups, etc. So it is difficult for any company, any mining company, and particularly an oil and gas company to operate onshore. When you operate offshore, you only deal with one regulator, and that's SK Migas. So it's a lot easier to do business with one organisation as opposed to dealing with a multitude of organisations. So it's a deliberate strategy of the company to be purely offshore.
Thank you, Mario. Next one. So you mentioned that Mako was a new play test. Is there any follow-up?
Yeah, there is. In fact, there's a couple of some of our competitors in the region are now chasing this type of shallow sort of Pliocene gas. I mean, it's really quite interesting. These reservoirs are can produce like 30 million cubic feet of gas per day from the one well. So that, yeah, there is that opportunity there. I mean, we tried really hard to lock up best acreage that we could when we identified it, but obviously being capital constrained meant you kind of limited. And then we did get distracted with Aceh, which we think that's the one that turns you into a giant company.
Perfect. And again, congratulations on today's release. So what are the key catalysts shareholders should be looking out for over the next few months now that we've secured this offtake at Mako?
Yeah, the farm out. We've obviously got 76.5% interest in Mako. We do need to sell down to probably somewhere around the 40 to 50%. So we're talking to people, partners, to come in and join us in that farm out. Once that farm out's done, then we sort of move to FID and move to bring the field into production in 2026. So there's that and potential 3D and farm down of Aceh as well.
Wonderful. Well, thanks again for your time today, Mario. And if we have missed any of your questions, please feel free to reach out via the contact details on the bottom of our ASX releases. But thank you again.
Great. Thanks, Jane.